Sorry, you probably assumed this would be a quiet, gentle, soothing opening. Think again. Also, because we're filming in my Twitch space, I have many. I can do lots of things. Roll the opening. Hello and welcome back to What's the Safe Word? I'm Amp. I'm Amp. And today we're in my studio, which allows me to do a lot more interesting things. Oh, and I have a bug bite today too. Now it just so happens that this week Daddy is out of town, so that means Chris is not here and it's just me and I can do whatever I want. So today I wanted to just sit down, talk to you guys, answer some of your questions, and do that thing that creators do when they run out of ideas, or maybe they've just burnt out a little bit and they want to just do something a little bit more memey and that we see all over the internet, and react to your assumptions. I'm fine. I felt like this would be fun. So today they're my pant. They're the little ties that you put on your shorts. So if you're not familiar with the TMI or assumptions you have about me tags, it's a pretty simple thing. I asked you guys on Instagram for your assumptions anonymously. We're not gonna be showing anyone's names. And so I'm just answering your questions about kink and sex and possibly me and things you just wanted to know. Is this a good idea? We'll find out. And to just be super fair to the assumptions and questions being asked, I will not lie in this episode to the best of my ability and knowledge. I want to be open. I want to be honest. I want to just kind of like chill and have a nice down to earth chat with y'all. So let's just start out with the first assumption. Well, assumptions. And the first two kind of revolve around my collar, oddly enough. Saying, do you shower with your leather collar and won't it get rusty? And also, your neck probably hurts from the collar when you sleep in it. Now, for those that don't know, this is my collar. Do you see it? Do you see it?
Can you see it? Can you see it? Because you can't see it.
I never take it off. I've probably worn this I got it about a year before COVID. So carry the one, do the math, about 3 years now. And I'll take it off every once in a while if I need to for, say, nice formal photos or family related things where I don't want this. But I never take it off. It does sometimes leave like those little like marks when you have a really good sleep. The leather itself is actually waterproofed. I put some conditioner on it and the metal's not gonna rust. It's good quality metal. Like I spent a good, it was expensive. My cabbages! But I don't ever take it off to the point where this lock does not unlock. So I actually have to, if I ever have to take it off, I have to bend where there's a little cut in this link. Shh, don't tell Daddy. And it does not ever cause me any pain unless I'm running, because then sometimes it like hits me, but like it's kind of. Next assumption. Now the next one says you are slowly becoming kinkier. And to that I say, aren't we all? ? Personally, I think we all become a little bit kinkier or just more sex positive as we tend to get older if we are sex having people, because we get less judgmental of ourselves, we get less critical, and as we get older, we're just like kind of YOLO, I want to try this thing, just do it.
If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding others will help you become whole.
Now that said, I've absolutely become kinkier through my own life because I've found myself become more comfortable with the things that maybe I'm into that. Maybe I'll dabble in that, but not right now. Someday is now. Why is someday not now? Okay. If you're looking to do, it's someday. Just try it out. Like bondage and puppy play, it didn't seem super taboo, at least in the terms of kinks. So those were really easy ones for me to get into and why they're my favorite. But stuff like, let's say, chastity, I was a little like, at first because I misunderstood it. I thought maybe people would think lesser of me, when in fact, it was just something I really wanted to try. And I eventually became brave enough and confident enough to do it. And while there's not tons of studies to back, like, people slowly become kinkier, we do know that in order to continue to be more turned on, we might try or look into a little bit more perverse or more extreme or edge play-er things because we find it maybe hotter or just something new. And I'm okay with that, so long as you're being responsible, respectful, and safe about it. This next one says, you're secretly Batman. No, I'm not. Why would you say such a thing?
Alfred, call the jet.
Could you imagine if I just had a voice changer right here? Attention YouTube, attention YouTube. Please report to the principal's office for demonetizing content unfairly. I have a soundboard right here. In the arms of the angels. Okay, this one, I assume you haven't tried ABDL yet. Think again. You know, I've tried it. It wasn't my thing, but like most things, I'll try it at least once. So long as there's like an interest there, or I want to try to learn something, and it just wasn't for me. I didn't mind being pampered, but for that kink, it just kind of depends on what you're into. Come on, don't be pissed. That was a good one. Next assumption. Okay. I don't know if I should be like, oh, thanks. You think I have tons of sex, or just because I'm gay?
Hi, gay.
Again, these are anonymous. We're not calling out anyone, but also, what the hell? Why would you say that? That's so mean. You've had a hemorrhoid. Now, this is not true. I've never had one, but at the same time, there's no shame for people that do have them. But also, I do feel that there's an assumption here that because I'm gay, I probably have had or do have a hemorrhoid, when in fact, 3 out of 4 people in their lifetime will have a hemorrhoid. So it's not just a gay thing. Not to mention they're easily treatable and preventable. And it's not just anal sex that causes them. Yes, anal sex can irritate them, but so can like straining yourself when you're taking a poop. So can like sitting down too long or uncomfortably. So can just, actually vaginal sex can also irritate and cause them to become inflamed. So, and not to mention hemorrhoids can be caused by lifting super heavy things, holding in your poop, and there's lots of ways to prevent them as well, including having a high fiber diet, drinking lots of water, and doing exercise, which I do a pretty decent amount of. While it is not just a gay thing, assuming Instagrammer, I do not have a hemorrhoid. But you know why? It's because I sit on some lovely couches. This is the sponsorship. This is a plug for the sponsor. Now, if you haven't guessed it, today's sponsor, who's putting me in the hot seat for today's assuming questions, is Allform, the lovely sister company to Helix Sleep, and the wonderful sponsor who makes sure that not only our butts are happy and free of hemorrhoids, is that the sponsorship? Is that? But in all seriousness, Allform has been a wonderful sponsor here on What's the Safe Word, and has provided us with not 1, but 2 full-on couches. Allform is actually the sister company of Helix Sleep, and they make American-made couches that are easy to assemble. They are scratch-resistant, they're stain-resistant, and they're incredibly comfortable.
So they're perfect for daddies. No matter how you spend your downtime, your sofa is an integral part of your home.
Now, their modular sofas can all be personalized for your space and style with 500 plus unique combinations depending on how you want the seats, the corners, the ottomans, or the pillows.
Making it easier to fit furniture into your space.
They come in boxes, they're easy to ship and grab, and because Allform ships directly to you with their premier materials, it means you're getting a really good price, and it ships right to your door fast and free, and in boxes that aren't very heavy. And they give you a 100-day trial, so you get more than 3 months to make sure that you love it. And if you don't, they'll pick it up and offer you a full refund. And then you just put it together in 15-ish minutes. Someone didn't read the directions the first time. Though Daddy does make it difficult whenever. I mean, he doesn't read directions. Our first couch, a teal love seat, was super comfortable, so we decided to expand. This time round, we chose a 3-seater with a chase, and it came in a nice smoked leather with espresso legs, and we couldn't be happier. Daddy not only has a new place to nap, and only nap, definitely just napping, but the process of putting it together was even easier the second time. And Daddy completely thought that he did it all by himself, so hey. So, if you would like to get your own saving,
go to allform.com and use offer code WATT.
The link will be down below, and you get 20% off your own sofa. Whee! Let them know on social media when you get it. Let us know when you get it too, and how much you enjoy it. If I'm gonna recommend any, get the leather. The leather's really nice. So thank you again, Allform, for being the sponsor to make this content possible. To dive far too deeply into my hole of questions. Oh no. And not to assume. But I think there might be some more assumptions here. Let's see. This next assumption says, you did not understand the assignment. Unless you're assuming that I really like you. In which case, you're incorrect, but I appreciate the feelings. Okay, you guys, it's assumptions you have about me. not questions you have about my chatting preference. What do you mean? Give me chat. Can we chat? Yeah, I said, what's your assumption? Not what's your question? Okay, this one's more on track. You have secret kinks or kink interest you don't talk about. Yes. End of question. No, just kidding. Absolutely. I think that even the most sex positive of people do have kinks that they don't generally share often. As I become more comfortable even on the internet and with who I am as a person, I also find those kinks, as we were saying. Now, I think I've found all the kinks I'm going to for a bit, but within the last couple years alone, I found that like, maybe this is sharing too much, or this is definitely at least new information for you guys. Like, I find like humiliation play when it comes to like other people in chastity or maybe even in embarrassing situations, which have included like diapers before and erotica I've read, is something that I really get off to. Like not the omarashi of it all, but like the, oh my, are you embarrassed of it all? Is that? But to that, I also think that it's okay for me to not share every single thing that I'm into. If and when I find other things that I'm into, you might know from my other Twitter that exists, because the other Twitter always exists. Or maybe I'll just keep it to myself because I get to determine what I share and what I don't. And that's my right to do as an influencer on the internet. And honestly, I just think that it's healthy for us to not overshare and share every single piece of our lives. Okay, and then there was a few of these. Pop them up on screen. You guys are very kind. I've tricked you all. I mean, thank you. You're a sweetheart. You seem very kind. I think you're a very kind person. To everything. Oh, I guess animal. Well, sure. I'm not very kind to plants. Okay, next one. I assumed you were a stuck up and unfriendly. Finally, somebody gets it. Oh, I happily proved wrong and now a big fan. But also I've heard the stuck up and unfriendly thing before. I think people find my awkwardness to be standoffish, when in fact I'm a normal person that is an introverted extrovert. I like going out, but like at the end of the day, sometimes I just want to be. It's cozy. Next assumption says you assumed your current relationship would only be a short-term thing. I think that is a fair assumption. When I first started dating, and it wasn't even, that's just it. Like me and Daddy started very much coming out of our own respective terrible relationships, but also being into a lot of the same things. And just being sexually adventurous, kind of out there in the public sort of people. So we shared a lot, but what made us different, and I think what a lot of relationships that are really successful is, you have things that make you very different and that you don't share and hopefully are able to share with each other. But I was also in it for the long game, the long con. I really liked Christopher. I'm just gonna call him Daddy, okay? People, it's the same person, but like whenever I call him Christopher, it's just like, ooh, that's weird. Why did I do that? I really liked Daddy. We got along really well. And we have, to this day, never had a big fight. We never scream or yell at each other. We're very good at communicating. And even when we don't see eye to eye, like, we're always able to work through it. I think because we are just a good couple. So while I did start out thinking it was going to be a little short term, possibly, I was hopeful that it would turn into something a little bit longer. And I was pleasantly not surprised. What? I think I knew we were gonna, I think I knew. So not surprised. But you're right. That I just like that this was followed really quickly by this. You're both wrong. I know. And it's available on safewordshop.com. Or maybe you're both right. I'm a switch, which for those that don't know, and I don't know how you don't know by watching our channel, but a switch is somebody that can top or bottom determined by or depending on diapers. No, depending on who they're playing with and the dynamics or the vibes. So like, I'm generally more of a bottom in my sexual life and just in general with other people, but I really do like to top. I love bondage, I love puppy play, and I love being more dominating in that sense at times. I've even dominated Christopher before. Fuck, I mean, Daddy. Shit. Ooh. When he's not here, explaining him and who he is anyway. But it always, again, depends on the other person and our dynamic. Because if you're a submissive
little puppy that wants to get tied up,
you've come to the right place. You were a theater kid. What? Oh no. And I set that rule that I said I wouldn't lie, but no And shit. Okay, so I know that I give off serious theater kid vibes. I always get that comment or like people will ask, but rather than tell a 5-minute story, thank you 5. I just hung out with all the theater kids and anime nerds in school. Those were my friends. That said, I also was a jock. Can you? Is this? Actually, I lived a life like Hannah Montana. You know, I got the best of both worlds. I got the limo in front, and then the other thing in the back. But I was on the varsity soccer and swim team. I was pretty good at school. I was actually very bored in school to the point where I was doing college classes in junior year. Anyways, that was a no and instead of a yes and. Did you get that joke? Spelling out the joke, not a theater thing. You get the best of both worlds. Okay, well, I said I would not lie. So, you would never have sex with a fan. Incorrect. But I want to, and it's a big but. Have you seen how big the butt is? But I want to say that with a caveat and the ethics, at least in my mind and how I think about it, to also be stated. When somebody comes up to me and their immediate reaction is, I love the content you make, or you're great on the YouTube or the Twitch or the Twitter, or ooh, sexy times, like, I'm appreciative and I appreciate that. But that also does then put up this flag of like, okay, well, I definitely, if I were to find that person attractive as I got to know them, need to just be careful about how I go about that conversation and the ethics around it, because I never want to be abusive and manipulative to the power dynamics that are going on there. I would never use my influence to manipulate someone, and I want that to be very clear. I'm a human and I have wants and sexual needs, and I think it's unfair sometimes to treat celebrities as if they don't deserve to have relationships or even casual sex. Now, if that person is misusing their influence and scamming or taking advantage of their underage audience, like certain influencers that YouTube literally promotes in front of my feed every day, that I'm gonna call out and not be okay with. That was a very pointed comment at a YouTuber. But that's not also to say that some people are out there, almost like groupies are a thing. Groupies exist for celebrities and famous people. And I know I'm speaking more broadly now because I don't have groupies. I'm not a band. You have to have a band to have groupies. I'm now starting a band, Amp and the Kinkettes. If you'd like to join the band, please put your submissions down in the comments below. I play the skin flute. And with all that in mind, would I possibly, have I? That's a hard one, because I've definitely had sex with people and then they will come out afterwards and say like, oh, you know, I've seen some of your stuff. But that doesn't mean like they're a fan. Bottom line to that question, assumption, is that consent is key and important. Not only if you're talking to someone on a dating app, but if there's a power dynamic, you need to be very clear about consenting and just being cool and communicative. But I'm not looking to sleep with fans, no. Anyway, that was long. Okay, next assumption, which also revolves around sex. You don't have nearly as much sex as people expect you to have. Not every day. That might be the most accurate assumption today. Obviously, COVID put a damper on a lot of our sex lives, but if I'm being especially honest, I don't think it really affected mine. I think I've had sex with another person that wasn't like Christopher once this last month, and I think people do assume that I'm constantly having it. Rightfully so, I talk about sex, I get it, but that does not mean I cannot be sex positive, be into it, or want to just learn about the human experience, because I find it super fascinating. And sometimes sexual. Like, why is the furry... Oh, and I sure as hell don't have it every day. No, I jerk off every day probably though. This one says that as much as you enjoy using puns, you get irritated if other people do it a lot. That is true. I really like a good pun. I really like a good turnabout or turn of word, like just fun conversations. But if the first thing that comes out of someone's mouth is just a bunch of puns because they think that that's what I want to hear, they're rudely mistaken. I like to have conversations like a normal person too. And I want to have normal conversations, you know? I want to talk about games that just came out. I want to be like, casual. I mean, maybe we'll talk about kink, but it won't be nonstop jokes because that's just yeah, that's not funny. I don't mind being the butt of the joke, but there should at least be some butt involved if there's going to be nonstop jokes. I'm not being awkward. You're being stop looking. Stop it. The next assumption says, I assume you never get a break from the sex and kinky part of your life. Yes and no. I mean, I do get a break. I don't always have sex and I don't always talk about sex, but when I am creating content and doing the internet stuff, like sex is always going to be the topic because that's our audience, and that's part of what pays my bills is being an educator and making people think and critically have conversations about sex. And I like that. This assumption here makes it sound like I need a break, possibly, but I really enjoy what I do. I mean, a cook doesn't probably ever stop thinking about food because they're eating it. They're thinking about eating it. They're thinking about recipes. Maybe they're studying, then they're doing the cooking. When you have a passion that is also your hobby and what makes money for you, it's hard not to think about it nonstop. So maybe it is true, but I don't mind it. This one says, you play a lot of video games. That is very true, but I mean, I'm on Twitch, so I play video games literally like 4 to 5 times a week for at least 4 hours at a time. If you're not following me on Twitch, you're missing out on some fun. So this might be the tea or the educational moment. I actually used to be a game designer for 10 years, which I don't think I've ever really talked about on the YouTube, but I used to do 3D modeling and did graphics for like weapons, machinery. So video games have always been one of my hobbies and my favorite pastimes too. And actually that could be kind of fun to look at. So look here. This is some of my older 3D art. Like they're simple objects, but there was like some like fun tiki game that we worked on. I did some hard surface modeling for like objects and on like Skyrim-y things, you know, like just objects I have around the house. I made a British mailbox for some reason. Oh, and then I had this like little robot guy that was like all mossy. He was really cute too. And some low poly tiled textures. So like this was a texture that, is this interesting for you? I don't. But this is a texture that literally would tile. So like it was a skull tileable texture, but it would be put on 3D models. So like some shading and shadery stuff too. So yeah, I, again, really love video games, and maybe that's where a lot of my art comes from. Like that's where I learned how to edit. That's where I learned how to do graphics and obviously design stuff for like merch. It's what makes me who I am as a weird, quirky human. The next one, that I prefer slimmer guys. That's unfair. And what is that based off of, huh? In fact, if you could see my alt Twitter, because there's always an alt Twitter. I like guys of all shapes and sizes, but more often than not, I like a guy that's a bit bigger than me, that might have a bit more meat on his bones, but that just takes care of himself and is a good, respectable human who has a sense of humor. Again, I'm demisexual, so what that means is like initial attraction to someone, their looks and maybe how they present themselves isn't not important, but like it's not the most important thing to me. What I'm really attracted to is that secondary attraction where people present who they are as a fully formed human, their interests, their hobbies, what gets them going. Maybe even their kinks can be a part of what draws me to them. But I don't know, I generally go for the daddies. So like that I prefer slimmer guys is like so far from true or the point, you know? Maybe I just like the daddy voices.
Oh yeah, you like that, don't you? I am Batman and you're a naughty little puppy. Not the laugh.
I like someone who takes it a little easy sometimes, who might be a little more laid back, who might choose like some snacks and a movie over doing the gym for the 4th time that week. Like, I just like someone who takes care of themselves and still has fun. Give me the meat. Wait, did I just describe daddy? Yes. Next assumption, you take all comments to heart, even when you say you don't. That one hurts. I do my best to be a person on the internet who gets called many things to not listen to every comment. As I've done more live streaming things, I've found that I can gloss over comments that are a little more rude a little bit easier, but it doesn't mean that that comment that might pop up on Instagram or YouTube or Twitter, I don't see. I'm a human. I have feelings. Sometimes I can get annoyed or discouraged, but more often than not, as I've been on the internet longer, I've learned to not give any mind to the people who ain't paying my bills. Don't come for me, RuPaul. So I do my best not to read the comments, but I do address comments when I feel that I've misrepresented something, that maybe the information wasn't perfect, or I need to dispel something or clap back at a person who's just being ignorant. And I have the energy to do so without putting any mental stress on myself. And I think sometimes people need a reminder that like people on the internet that make content are still people too. That's what this whole TMI kind of feels like, actually. I mean, we look at people like William Osman, who is one of my favorite like techie inventors on YouTube until about 4 months ago, when the comments got so toxic and bad, at least on his channel. It got so bad that it bugged him and it drove him off the platform, and I haven't seen him since, and it kind of makes me sad because I really liked his content. You even see the toxicity a bit with television show, reality stars, like the RuPaul's Drag Race of it all. I see constant drama around the fans harassing and sending death threats. And so like, maybe this is another reminder to just like, be kind to everybody online. If you don't got something nice to say, don't say it. And if you don't have something constructive to say, if it's not gonna be nice and it can't even be constructive, just keep it to yourself. But also, it's usually projection. Why is this person saying this? And what does this say about maybe something they're going through? And that's the tea. Oh, I forgot it was bourbon. Oh, this one. How do I breach this? Well, case in point to the comments made online, sometimes things bother you and sometimes you can turn it into a teaching moment. This assumption that says you are a gold star gay. This term refers to gays that have never had sex with a woman or have never touched a vagina, I think is one of them, like the platinum and the gold. And if that alone, that definition has not told you why that might be a problematic term to begin with, let me give you some more info. And also to that info, I've definitely used this term in the past. Not recently, because I've been educated and I've learned from that, but this used to be a thing that you would say to tout and like, oh, look, I'm a real gay, you know, which in itself invalidates so many people's not only experiences, but possible journeys of where they came from, you know, or totally invalidates non-binary and trans people. And I think punishes people that do end up finding themselves. And just, that's really discouraging. So if there's anything we can learn from today's episode, maybe we just stop using terms like this. I've even heard it used for lesbians. Like, let's just let us be gay. Let us be trans or bi or lesbian or pan. I mean, I'm gay. I'm gay. Hi, gay. Hello. And that was the last assumption. Was this interesting? Let me know what you thought. If you enjoyed these, like, I'll do them every once in a while. There were a lot of assumptions and only a few of them were too inappropriate, but also make sure you're following my Instagram because you do miss stuff. If you're a person of culture and enjoy video games, why not join me over on Twitch? This is literally my streaming room here, but I'm also a huge gamer. So, I mean, that's another place you can follow. I'm just giving you all the other social medias in this episode. But thank you guys again for watching. And while assuming might not have made an ass out of you and me, although why, I mean, I don't mind being an ass. I had a fun time kind of answering your questions and just educating while we didn't assume further. But if you'd like to assume the position, don't forget to leave a comment down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Check out last week's episode because it was suppressed to all hell, and I assume because we were talking about sex. But most importantly, whether you're making an ass out of you or me, always have a safe word. And today's safe word is himbo, because maybe that's one of my new secret kinks. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to What's a Safe Word, and we will see y'all next time. Bye. Ooh. Okay, this is a hot seat. Turn the fan on. I had to keep it off because set stuff. But speaking of seats, check out Allform if you want your own couch. Offer code Watts. And if that doesn't work, what if Batman?
Check out Allform today and use offer code Watts at checkout. I'm the Knight. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.